Hello and welcome to another live episode of the BTF Podcast. That is the number one podcast for people who probably should talk about something other than football. We have a fantastic show coming up today. I'm joined by Greg and I'm joined by Levi, and I think it's time to roll VT. Well, hey, there we go. We're back in the room. Greg's had a swig of his old flagon there. What's in there?
Well, I thought I timed that perfectly, but I think I got caught out. Next episode, I'll try and refine that.
It's definitely flavoured beer.
Oh, mate. Always that.
Beer 52.
That gets me through the show. It's the only thing to get me through these shows.
Yeah. So, first of all, I want to say, obviously, hello, Greg. How you doing?
All good, man.
All
good, man.
Yeah? All right.
Yeah,
that was what I want to say first. And then second of all, I want to say welcome back to the main man, Levi and Beer. Joining us, I don't actually think from Anfield Road. Am I correct? Because you'd be on tier 3 lockdown, if so.
You might be correct. I'm definitely not joining you from Anfield Road, but feels good to be back. And I'm a bit nervous about what the show has in store for me, but definitely looking forward to it.
So yeah, we've got like 4 kind of distinct topics that we're going to discuss in the hour ahead. But I guess first of all, we do need to talk about that result. You weren't here last week, so
this wasn't in the agreed list.
Yeah, it wasn't. This has been thrown upon you literally 3 minutes before we started the show. But yeah, you weren't here last week to talk about the Aston Villa Liverpool result.
There's a reason for that.
7-2. Yeah, very convenient that you weren't here actually on that for that show. But we didn't have any Liverpool fans on the show last week to talk about it. So we'd love to have your thoughts on that game. Did you watch it? Since then, have you kind of had a different opinion on it? Tell us.
Well, I was actually at home visiting my parents, and I was about to rush home almost to actually watch it. So I was listening in on it on the radio, and literally every 5 minutes, which is what it felt like, there was a goal going in, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Even when it hit 5-2, I almost thought we can definitely still get back into this one. Like Salah scored his goal, and I was like, "It's all right. We can definitely nick a draw, nick a point, and it won't feel as bad." But deflected goal after deflected goal went in, and I just honestly couldn't believe how easily our defence was being carved open. And if I'm honest, it was actually a hard watch for me. Usually, I watch even if I've missed a game, I watch the highlights, I watch it back, and it was painful stuff. And early on, I had loads of excuses like, "Oh no, all the COVID diagnoses in the team are definitely affecting morale or affecting mindset." And I just think ever since just before we won the league, we haven't hit 100 mile an hour yet. We haven't got going fully, and we've almost just been scraping results. But there's only so much that scraping results can do, only so far it can take you. We got found out, and we got found out brutally by Aston Villa, and it's a wake-up call.
Yeah, it is a big wake-up call, and I guess that was the point that we made, or the question we asked at the end of the show last week was, is that result something that Jurgen Klopp is going to use to his advantage for the rest of the season? Would you rather have your wake-up call on game number 3 or 4 for Liverpool?
3 or 4.
Yeah, but that early on, you probably want to lose 7-2. If you're going to pick a time of the season to do it, ideally never, especially being a team as good as Liverpool. But yeah, I certainly think he could be. He's certainly a good enough manager to use that to kind of galvanise the team and get something more out of them.
In my honest opinion, I just don't think after you come off winning a Premier League title, you should be getting beaten 7-2 by a team who were relegation contenders last season. Okay, fair enough. If you beat us 3-2, I'm almost more willing to accept it. But 7-2 shows me that on the day there was a gulf of difference in between Liverpool and a team who were struggling to stay in the league last season. And that, for me, as a Liverpool supporter, is alarming. And we need to wake up and show what we've got next game.
Yeah.
I've heard a little bit of reassuring information. The only sort of positive you can get out of that as a Liverpool fan, word around the campfire is that the team stayed in that dressing room for a good few hours after the game. So you can guarantee they got dressing down by Klopp. And I think that last week we spoke about how Klopp, if there's any manager that can use this to galvanise a team, it's probably Klopp. So that is the one positive I think you can get, that you best believe that they got a bollocking for it.
I really, really hope. I hope you're right, because I tell you what, I never want to feel like that at another point in this season ever again. Ever again.
I saw earlier, I think Sky posted it, but it was the Sky Retro account or something, and they posted the interview with Ferguson, Jeff Shreves, after the 6-1 defeat to Arsenal, which was back in 2012, 2013, something like that. And it was interesting hearing his kind of post-game analysis of that game, and he kind of said, he was almost saying, which I thought was quite weird as a manager to kind of critique how his team played out on the pitch, because you'd think the manager actually would just tell them how to play. But, he said that you're better off protecting like a 4-1 loss than carry on attacking and lose 6-1, 7-2, whatever. And I think Liverpool kind of fell into that same trap where, like, I think there was that little bit of belief that they could get back into the game. And I think, if you go on history of the last few years with that, particularly that Barcelona result where they came back, I think there is a belief in the Liverpool team that they can come back from, unwinnable positions. But, maybe that confidence will be knocked a little bit now going into future games. But we won't dwell on this any longer. Well, maybe towards the end of the show, we'll be talking Liverpool again. So maybe some of these points will kind of come up again then. You will see above me here, it says Project Big Picture. I guess that's the kind of the overriding story this week with the Premier League and the Football League, because we're on an international break. I feel like there's probably a reason that they've released this, or this story's broken now, is to get a little bit more traction. Greg, I know you've been reading up on this a lot over the last week, and we're going to treat you as the facts guy today. So give us a brief overview of what you know about Project Big Picture.
Okay, so basically I'll try and keep my opinions out of it as best I can, Dan, for this sort of overview.
You're all right. You're a top 6 club.
So basically, it's a proposal to revitalise English football, which is funny because I think this is the most exciting season of football we've got to come this year, but who the fuck am I? So basically, the Premier League will be given a lot
in the second line there.
Basically, it's about the money, isn't it? So the top 9 clubs in the Premier League will get a lot of power. Instead of it being one club, one vote, they will have the top 9 clubs will be able to vote on things going on in the Premier League, and it only needs the top 6 or 6 of those clubs to pass something through. And a big thing is that they can now, if this goes through, they can vote on if an owner can take over a club, which is a huge thing. And we've seen it a little bit with the Newcastle takeover, that sort of impact of the Premier League. So that's already sort of in football. It's abolishing as well the EFL Cup, the League Cup, and the Community Shield. It's giving money to the EFL and the FA. I think it's 25% of the annual earnings from the Premier League will go to those clubs, and it will go to the clubs that are relegated. The clubs that are relegated, interestingly, so the league will go from 20 teams to 18, with 18th and 17th being relegated automatically. The top 2 teams from the Championship going up, and then the teams that finish in 3rd to 5th, I believe, going up against the 17th in the Premier League in a playoff.
Yep.
Those are the main sort of highlights.
So almost like the German system there for
Bundesliga kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I think that's a pretty good summary. So, Levi, how much have you seen of this week or read into it?
I've definitely been keeping track of it. I think it really took off yesterday, really, where all the traction almost started building. I've watched Sky Sports, so I'm fairly in the loop with what's going on, and I'm not sure if now's the time to start giving my opinion, but I think I'm almost pressured to give a certain opinion. Otherwise, I've got some people in my house that'll probably storm my room if I give the wrong opinion. But in actual fact,
do you have Leeds fans in your house by any chance? Oh, you frozen? They've come in. They've taken his internet out.
Yeah, they've cut the Wi-Fi off. Pull the plug.
All right, we'll wait for
Dan, what your thoughts? Being
Levi,
a newly promoted club.
Yeah.
And you're in danger of getting a decision against you from those big nine. What's your take on it?
Yeah, Levi, by the way, if you can still hear us, your picture's frozen, and we haven't got sound from you at the minute. So I'll step in until we've got you back. Drop us a message, either in the chat or on WhatsApp, if you're stuck or if you're in trouble or in danger. So yeah, this is proposal put forward, I think, by Rick Parry. All right, we're down to two. Rick Parry, who is former Liverpool chairman. He is, I think, chairman of the EFL or director of the EFL. And I think, this thing has been packaged as a rescue plan for the Football League following coronavirus, and loss of revenues and, no fans and et cetera. Other people are kind of saying that this is very much a power grab by the top, the elite, the richest clubs in the country, and obviously it's been spearheaded by the Glaziers and John Henry and the Fenway Sports Group. So Liverpool and Manchester United essentially are out there as kind of I guess white knights leading this crusade to charge English football into the the mid stage of the 21st century. We're hearing, oh no, that's just my dad telling me the LA Lakers won the NBA championship. I thought that might be Levi. All right, Greg, you're in charge of getting Levi back into the room here. But yeah, it's probably is a power grab. There's some good things in there as well. So there's support for, all the way down to, I think the conference is included. Women's football's included. And you mentioned, I think there is plans within there. I think if you dig deeper into it past the kind of the bullet points. But yeah, essentially, it does look like it's kind of like a precursor to a European Super League as such, where those top six teams, the self-nominated top six teams, really, because Manchester City are included in that list of the top six, and yet they've only been in the Premier League as long as, say, Newcastle or Aston Villa have as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, there's a lot of problems around it. Also, I think one of the arguments is that it is led by the owners, and it's ultimately led by private. Here we go, letting the man, the myth, the legend back in. Led by the owners of the club, so essentially the businesses that own these clubs, private, ventures. It doesn't seem like a very democratic way to go about reforming this national league, and there's if you think about I think is it 90 teams all in. I think it's 18 in because they want to have 24 in each of the three leagues below.
I think
quick
right.
maths is 82 plus there'll be 100 teams altogether. No, 72, 90. Yeah, 90 all in. So 90 clubs, and you think of the staff, the players, everything that goes into running 90 clubs. It's a lot of jobs and livelihoods kind of at stake. And yeah, to put that in the hands of kind of what seems like maybe an undemocratic body does seem quite a morally kind of shaky ground to begin with. Have you guys seen anything about the potential rebates for stadiums that's part of the small print? No. So teams obviously teams that I think
Liverpool and Spurs.
Yeah, Liverpool I think are set to get £50 million rebate for their stand. Spurs is about 115 mil for part of their construction. But obviously those two are probably won over parties anyway, because Levy and Henry, I think, will support that. But I think Brighton are also in there for... I think they're due about 90 million in a rebate for their stadium, which was completed in 2011. And all of these little things kind of look a little bit like bribery when you really dial into it, and you need this 14 club approval in the Premier League. You mentioned Fulham at the start of your question. I'm not really sure where it puts a club like Fulham. We've certainly probably benefited from the whole parachute payments thing. Having, gone down and come straight back up, we were able to maintain a pretty healthy squad, a pretty strong squad in the Championship. So I think that there's plans to kind of rebalance the way that things like parachute payments work, and maybe make that a little bit more even across the board, so that a team like Luton coming up from League One and then going into the Championship can compete against, a Norwich or someone coming down from the Premier League every couple of years. So I think there's, 100% there'll be loads of elements of this whole plan that you can probably use and that should form the basis of something. But do I think it should be run by Liverpool and Man United and the other four big clubs? Probably not. I think it should be an FA run thing. Levi, you got cut off.
Yeah, I told you if I didn't say the right things, I'd be hijacked, and then that's what happened. But no, let's just be 100% honest, and let's just be 100% forthcoming. This is a very opportunistic time to implement something like this. The vast majority of us know it's wrong. It's being backed by some of the EFL fat cats, because in theory, it's not something that should be being implemented in football. I think it will kill the game as we know it. We're getting rid of parts of our history in terms of the Community Shield. Although some people see the League Cup as a Mickey Mouse Cup, it serves as revenue for a lot of the smaller teams. And although they're being given sweeteners, whether it's 25% or whether it's a split 250 million bailout, it's nothing more than exactly that. They're just sweeteners to make almost an elitist, almost monopolised football league in the Premier League. And I just don't think that's something that football fans across the country should support. I don't think it's something that supporters of the clubs of Liverpool, Man United should support it, because in actual fact, being able to choose whether certain takeovers can happen, certain teams can be taken over, in actual fact is just wrong. In actual fact, what we're trying to do is essentially control and cement our status and make sure that we challenge for trophies week in, almost season in, season out, without very much contention, without very much change. And what will happen is, going forward, is you'll see less and less Leicesters, for example, being able to clinch a trophy, because the league is being run by six teams. And I just think it's bollocks, to be honest. And I don't know whoever thought it up. And I think it should be scrapped, thrown in the bin as fast as what has come to light, because it's ridiculous.
Well, that's one of my suspicions, is that it's just, it's been released, or it's been leaked to the press, or whatever you want to say, like this week, because it's a, albeit an international break, it's a slow news week for football. And I do think that it's probably getting a little bit more traction than it actually deserves. I think it probably will end up in the bin by the end of this year. But as we mentioned, I think when you got cut off, Levi, it sort of paves the way for strengthening those teams up for this sort of European Super League that's been touted for quite a long time, and having your Bayern Munich and Barcelona, Real Madrid, all of these guys, PSG, all in one big league together, and then almost you'd have the rest of the EFL is just like a food source for those big six to, there's this new proposed rule in there as well, that they can loan out 15 players a season, up to 4 at each club. It does seem like it suits teams like Manchester City and Chelsea, who already kind of operate on that basis anyway.
Let's just be honest. If you're a team outside of the top 9 or whatever, the top 6, you'd be absolutely fuming. What they're trying to do is they're trying to kill the game as we know it. quite frankly, I don't even know how it's even got to the stage where it's being leaked in the press, because it's stupid. That's the first thing to note. And if I was a supporter of a Newcastle or a Southampton, I'd be absolutely fuming. What the game goes off, the basis of what the game should go off, is that although there are teams that dominate the league because they've got more money, it still gives those teams, the Southamptons, the Newcastles, the Aston Villas, the opportunity to potentially one day, if they can, reach those heights. And effectively, what this takeover or what this stupid proposal is trying to do is just trying to kill that. So effectively, those teams will be having to admit defeat and say, we're never going to reach those heights, and we're almost going to have to play second fiddle with second string teams, because we're just going to become feeding pools for the bigger teams to take our players, and almost become these elitist clubs that take part in this European Super Cup. Ridiculous, stupid proposal. And if it goes through, then I think we might as well just stop watching football. I'll start watching basketball, because I won't be able to. I won't be able to.
What, the British League?
No. I'll watch anything else other than the crap that they'll be trying to show me, because it's ridiculous. It's a stupid proposal, and I hope it gets thrown out. People who are in the EFL that are supporting this, I think, who's the guy? What his name?
Rick Parry.
Ridiculous.
Former
Absolutely
Liverpool
ridiculous.
Chairman. We'll see.
Shows that he has very, very little care for the teams that he's meant to be looking after, meant to be championing, meant to be supporting. And quite frankly, it is disgusting. And I'm ashamed that Liverpool even have put their name to it. It's horrible.
Greg, similarities there. Is it any surprise that the two owners kind of leading this are both of American backgrounds? Does it seem a little bit like, trying to create an NFL or a NBA type situation where you have your top teams locked in and they're always in the league? And yes,
I think that it's always been a bit of a sort of dirty little secret or like elephant in the room that football's all about money. But now this is just like they're just putting it out there, and it's like, I don't see how this is anything other than, they're giving the money to the EFL and the FA. It's all just little sweeteners for the actual power play and all of this. Like, you're getting rid of Community Shield and a League Cup, which gives opportunities to other clubs to jump in and get a bit of trophy or get a little bit of, a cup run, things like that. Community Shield, where the money literally goes to communities and charities, you're scrapping that. I'm sure they'll find another way or whatever, but all the finances and all of the 25% and stuff, it's all just little sweeteners to get more power and the monopoly and all that. I agree with Levi. It kills the game, and it just proves the point. You can break any of these points down and analyze them and find the financial gain in there for these big clubs. And like Levi, I would be ashamed at the minute that Tottenham's name is put against this as supporting it, because you just show your true colours with it, and it's grim. I hate it. It's not in the spirit of football. And it's a shame, because a lot of football now, you've got the VIR argument, which is turning a lot of people off football. It's such a shame. It's such a shame to see it happen. Because, on this podcast, I've often praised and said how lucky I feel that we've got the Premier League, and it's so competitive. And it's, when you compare it to a lot of European football and European leagues, how are we any different to a Italian league with Juventus and monopoly, or how are we any different at this point?
Yeah, well, we'll move on. But my suspicion is that it's a business move, and it's an extreme proposal, and they'll be looking to kind of push something through halfway, which will still be way too extreme than it should have been. But like I say, there are some arguments in there. There's some aspects of it that are good and that are trying to kind of protect clubs like Bury or Hartlepool going into, administration or whatever, because they literally can't pay a wage bill. But I do think there are much better ways of going around it than what seems to be kind of like a thinly veiled power grab by the very rich and very successful top clubs of English football of the last 10 years as well. I would say that, because Man City are obviously included in that list, and they were nothing kind of 12, 13 years ago. in terms of the Premier League. So it is a very recent thing. And also, actually, the final point is Man United are actually slipping out of that. You know, they're not finishing top 6 every year. I know they sort of have scraped it the last couple of years, but they're not necessarily guaranteed to be a top 6 club, and certainly to be leading it in the top 2 might be kind of a bit of a move to grab what remaining power they do have as a super club. So we'll see where that story goes. Apologies to any United fans watching. Let's talk about
no apology
England.
necessary.
They've had their time. No, don't apologise. They've had a great time. Let them suffer like the rest of us.
That's it. Let's talk about England. So a new era for England. England-Wales was the first game this week. We saw Southgate put out quite an experimental team. When you saw that starting lineup, what was your first thoughts? Levi, I'll come to you first.
First thoughts. You know what? I started getting almost reluctant to switch on and actually tune in properly and watch England. Very strange, average lineups that players are chosen on club merit, rather than actual performances. We can go back to the argument that England is a little bit monopolised because he picks from the big teams, but I was quite impressed with seeing the likes of Connor Cody implemented in some of the squads. I like Jack Grealish got some game time, but it's about time that Gareth Southgate actually took a long, hard look at himself in the mirror and started picking players based on what they're doing on the pitch, based on what they are doing in terms of their form, and not just in what they've done in the past or what they can do potentially. It's about picking players who are in form, who hit the ground running, and who can make England look good. Some good passages of play with Wales, playing some high press football, which was quite impressive. I personally would like to see Connor Cody come into the lineup a lot more, ahead of the likes of Maguire, because he's a clown. Eric Dyer, I'm sorry, Greg, I'm sure you'll be the first to admit, Eric Dyer isn't a centre-back, and I don't really know where Eric Dyer plays. I don't really know how much use he actually is. But that being said, I'd much prefer Connor Cody back there. At least I know he can move. He can lead a team, and lead a team who, in actual fact, Wolves are achieving beyond what everyone's expectations was. And I'd much rather him at centre-back. Jack Grealish, because he's playing at Aston Villa, he gets a sniff. Second, playing Mason Mount, who sometimes performs, sometimes doesn't, got very below average consistency. And I think that sums England up. England's consistency is shocking. At tournament level, in all honesty, consistency isn't there. Sometimes we perform, sometimes we don't. Let's put in the players. Let's change the script a little bit. Put in the players that are performing well at club level, have performed well throughout the whole season, and are not chosen based on merit, but chosen on their actual form. Jack Grealish should be in that team. He's been grinding at Aston Villa week in, week out, season in, season out. I think it's about time he got his big break. And I think players like Danny Ings definitely should be getting more of a sniff. That's exactly the reason why Jamie Vardy retired from England as well. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. He just plays second fiddle to Kane.
Yeah.
Is Harry Kane consistent enough? Yes, but is there time to also bring in some new blood when things are not necessarily working with England? I'd much rather see Danny Ings sprinting after the ball, giving 110%, rather than Harry Kane potentially just doing the same thing he does every single week.
Yeah, that's some fair points there. I mean, you mentioned players in form. Obviously, Dominic Calvert Lewin had a pretty impressive. It was his debut. Am I right? His full international debut.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good. Totally agree with Jack Grealish. He's won me over a lot. I was probably a doubter of his form for a long time. Having seen him obviously because he's obviously stayed with Villa the whole time after they went down, and then in the Championship I think he's improved as a player so much over the last 2 years. Since they got back into the Premier League, he's sort of hit another level, and I really did enjoy seeing him in the England team, and he just takes players on. He's looking for a pass that no one else is looking for. Just an exciting player, I think, to have in that team. I'd actually like to see Ross Barkley. If Barkley continues playing with him the way he did against Liverpool, I think we could see Barkley kind of making a big return to the England setup as well by the time the next tournament rolls around. Other players that got in that team then, so we had Harry Winks and Calvin Phillips playing those sort of deep line roles. Are you convinced by Calvin Phillips, the Yorkshire Pirlo? I'm
not convinced by Harry. I'm not convinced by Harry Winks. But that's I guess
Winksy.
Another story. I've got another a vendetta against Spurs players.
Yeah.
But no.
Phillips.
I'm skeptical.
Yeah.
I'm more interested to see what Greg has to say.
I'll be totally honest with you, lads. I don't watch England games. Do you ever watch The Real Hustle? You know that show, The Real Hustle? No, stick with me. Because instead of watching England games, I watch The Real Hustle. Because if I'm watching a con artist on my screen, I like to see him do his job properly. Oh. So instead of watching England and Gareth Southgate managing that team, I stick that on. The fraudulent. He would be out of a job if the Euros happened this year. I'm sick of it. I've got nothing to say. I can't comment on the games. I didn't watch them. I don't like watching England under him. Calvin Phillips, on that point, I think that he suffers a little bit from the Jesse Lingard disease, in that he's
itis.
Well, and he's like treated as this sort of young talent, and he's actually 26 next week or something.
Right.
I think my camera's gone, isn't it?
Yeah, you're gone.
It's Gareth Southgate shutting me
at some point.
Greg's.
But I'll go on while Greg sorts his camera out.
Greg's on what's it called? What's that? What's the PlusNet broadband or whatever? The Yorkshire broadband. They cut him off. Now he's dissing Calvin Phillips. There you go. EOS utility webcam. Levi, you were going to go.
I just think, in all honesty, even though England, we beat Belgium the other day, and that, in its own right, is a good thing. But do you really think if we put in a performance like what we did against Belgium, we'll go anywhere in the Euros? I think no.
No.
Do I think that Gareth Southgate infuses the team is enough of a motivator at club level? Like you have the sort of managers you have at club level that really push the teams, can really enact that change, can push teams to the next level. Does Gareth Southgate have that about him? No. And I think we're seeing his lack of ambition in his management in terms of the selections that he's making. Very mediocre selections, very weak management choices. It's about time somebody actually came into the England team and said, you know what, I'm going to be versatile. I'm going to actually change what has gone before me. And I think when we actually change what has happened before, we'll actually get different outcomes. Gareth Southgate's coming in and doing pretty much exactly the same thing that every manager before him has done.
Yeah.
And he's expecting different results. And the reason why England's national team is known as one of the greatest national teams in the world, but we'll never progress so long as we make the squad selections that we do, make the team selections that we do in terms of starting lineup, and really just fail to progress every single year. We need to change, and it needs to be changed as soon as possible.
Yeah. I'm just laughing at John Aldinho. He said I missed the dress code again because it's white t-shirt week, clearly, but I'm not on that. All right, Greg, can you hear us still?
Yeah, bro, I'm still here. My camera ran out of battery and it's just not playing ball. Do you know what I mean? I'm fuming about it.
So should we just have you? We'll just have you on this. It's all good. You could switch to your your laptop webcam, but obviously
we're done out here, bro. Don't worry about it. I got this. You
cool.
guys keep going. I'm listening.
No, it's all good.
Hey, here we go.
He's back. He's back. Right. So, well,
aren't you glad to be back, Levi?
Sticking on the subject of England and Connor Cody, as you've already mentioned, I would like to see Cody kind of dropped into a 4-4-2 just to see how he gets on, because obviously he's sort of sweeper, isn't he? Or he plays in that anchor role in the five at the back for Wolves, and so far in his England appearances, Southgate has kind of built the team around that. I think you're gonna have a battery problem there, Greg. So we'll bear with you on this screen is fine. Yeah, I would like to see whether he can play maybe in a 4 at the back, just to test him kind of as a player. But otherwise, maybe if this 5 at the back works well, why not take that into a tournament? But it does limit us going forward. I would think.
Very, very, very treacherous ground. I think an England team trying to experiment with a 3 at the back or a 5 at the back with wing backs that are bombing up and down. If we go to a major tournament and play that formation, we're going to get found out.
We will.
I don't care what anyone says. No one's going to convince me otherwise. We're going to get found out, and we'll be a laughing stock, and we'll crash out in the group stages, and it'll be about time to get another mediocre manager in. I wouldn't be surprised if we get Mark Hughes in at some stage, or like just someone ridiculous like that to try and take us to the next level. Even though Mark Hughes should have been out of a job a very, very long time ago. It should have been reskilling. That's someone that should go in the Gulf of the UK. Getting reskilled as another manager. We'll reskill him as a PE teacher.
I saw. Did you see any of the other actual results in the international break? I think France and Portugal drew 0-0 last night. But you would expect those are probably the two, biggest challenges really for from the European side of things. I also saw the Brazil-Bolivia highlights. I know it's only Bolivia, but Brazil looked very, very good as well.
In all honesty, if England came up against Belgium, again, obviously, that's Belgium, France. I think if England even came up against Norway, they would struggle. Norway are starting to put together quite a decent team. Yeah. And I'm not even sure if any of our defenders would be able to deal with Haaland in his goal scoring form. We'd struggle there. I genuinely think the whole country is going to do exactly what it does every single year. Quietly, we're going to say, we don't have very much expectation. But quietly, the whole nation is going to be hoping that we actually do well, just to be disappointed yet again, and just for another England manager to come in, because Gareth Southgate probably won't be in the job if England crash out in the group stages.
I just remembered my point that I was going to make. It's been flying about on Twitter today that Bielsa should be the next England manager, which would be absolutely crazy. He's got obviously experience at international level, but that man is mental, and he's doing such a great job actually at the moment anyway with Leeds. So I don't know why he would take on that England job at this point. So we got Greg back.
The FA wouldn't want him because he's not a yes man.
No, yeah. There's two examples of those kind of words. Right, so let's move on to our next topic, which is pay-per-view Prem. Obviously, the games that had been getting shown for free, which is pretty much it's been great actually. The start of this Premier League season because every game's either been on Sky, BT Sport, Amazon or BBC. Like
someone's picked these topics just to piss everyone off as much as possible, and just get that on video. It's all of us being really pissed off at every decision that's ever been made by anyone.
There's not a lot of good decisions going on at the moment. Well, the Fulham's next 3 games are all on this pay-per-view system. 14.95 I think it is per game. There's Burnley, West Brom is in there.
So this is actually happening. This isn't a proposal. This is happening.
This is happening. Yeah, this is happening. So yeah, what do we think about that? Obviously, I'll go one argument first is that let's say I can't remember who the next game is. Fulham Wolves maybe. I don't think that is the game, but let's say it's that. It would cost me in the Premier League probably £40. Plus travel there, whatever, £50 probably just for me to go and see that game. Is it then worth £15 to pay for a one-off game on TV? On TV, on that logic, probably yes, it is. But Levi's got the flip side of that logic coming up.
Yeah, I do have the flip side of that logic. The flip side of that logic is: do you believe that the amount of money that's thrown around in these leagues? Do you feel that at a time when fans feel deprived, that it should be seen as almost a money-grabbing opportunity or an exploitative opportunity to put football on TV, or to let fans be able to enjoy watching their team after they've invested in their clubs, in the TV in the money that they're basically been able to throw around on TV year after year. Ridiculous. Stupidity. I honestly don't know who thinks of these ideas and thinks it's going to be well received, because I get really pissed off when I even think about some of the stupid ideas that are coming out. A Fulham fan is going to have to pay, what? They were just saying £45 to watch their team for the month. Fulham in reality, I'm sorry to say this, Dan, they're not going to generate the TV numbers that Liverpool will. They're not going to generate the TV numbers that Manchester United will. So when do we draw the line at who do we put on the TV?
Yeah.
Do we then penalise the people who are not going to necessarily be able to get the viewing numbers or be as enjoyable to watch? Who thinks of this bollocks? Because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Greg, I think you're pretty safe. I don't think Spurs are due to feature on pay-per-view. I'm just looking now. Spurs, the next 2 game weeks, they're okay. Next 3. Oh, no. Here we go then. So on Sunday, the 1st of November, would you pay $14.95 to watch Spurs Brighton at 7:15 in the evening?
This is the thing. It's like, I take issue with this kind of thing. I know that they've got to try and make money and all of that, and it's difficult times, definitely. But it's when you're getting it off of, as Levi said, the fans that are already unable to go to games, and you're trying to like financially benefit off them even more so. I mean, that's when I have an issue with it, because it's like 15 quid a gate. I wouldn't pay it.
This is what would have been a smart idea. Sorry, Greg.
I don't watch games like this. I'll put that out there. It's only going to boost the number of illegal streams that go on, surely.
Yeah, I don't do that either.
No.
No comment. But anyway, what I was trying to say is, what I was trying to say is, it would have made more sense. I'll tell you this. This would have made more sense if during normal season, people were going to games, and they still upheld the 3 p.m. Almost ban on showing kickoffs. Mm-hmm. If they then implemented $14.95 to be able to watch the game on TV at the 3 p.m. kickoffs in normal time, I'd almost get it. But when people don't have the choice to go to their football ground,
right.
You're forcing them into either watching their team or just not watching them at all. So you're forcing them to pay £15. Why? It doesn't make sense. And it's just stupid.
I think it could definitely be like a lower price as well, considering that surely it's a. I mean, I don't know whether does the money go directly to the clubs, or does it go to the
probably not
to the league, or does it go to Sky and BT? I don't know where the money goes, but
Richard Masters back pocket, bro. That's where it all goes. It's all going there, baby. Money,
money moves. So yeah, are we saying this is a resounding bad move by the Premier League?
I'll say this, right? All right. For better or worse, it's my opinion, okay? I'd rather support my club during this period by buying this season's jersey or a training kit or whatever. It might be triple the price of 15 quid or whatever, but that is me actively supporting my club in any way. I'd rather do that than pay 15 quid for these games.
Nice. Levi, same echo what Greg says there. Did you buy the Liverpool shirt this year, by the way, with the weird collar?
I haven't yet, no. I sometimes I don't really like the way football jerseys fit because everything's like weird.
Tight.
But that being said, no, I do agree with what Greg says. I much prefer direct support for clubs rather than funneling money into a TV pay-per-view system that, in all honesty, I don't know where it's going to go. I'm not sure if it's the case. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. Because we've almost been spoiled with the fact that we get to watch football almost when we want. But I just think in current circumstances, when fans can't get in through no fault or no choice of their own, we force the TV fact house or the Premier League or whatever has decided to charge fans almost £15 to be able to watch their team. And I just think, again, the teams they will hurt the most are the teams that are lower down the leagues, and that's just the harsh reality of it.
Yeah. I'm just reading here. It says proceeds after production costs will go back to the top flight clubs. So
after production costs.
Yeah,
I can't wait
Fulham will probably make some money off of that, I guess, which is one way of kind of winning the fans.
Cameraman's budget's going to be through the roof.
Yeah.
Who's going to decide how much the budgeting is?
Yeah.
Piss off.
So yeah, that's that. Funnily enough, it voted 19-1. The one club that voted against it was Leicester, in the Premier League, and all other clubs were supportive of it. So, yeah, split, I guess, between us and them, but we're on the side of Leicester, I do believe. Right, let's park that. Next up, Everton versus Liverpool, the big game this weekend, the first fixture of the weekend, 12 p.m. Or 12:30 kickoff on Saturday. I'm looking forward to this one. Greg's got his main man, James Rodriguez, on the green screen there. Greg, is he going to turn up?
Oh boy, Levi, you're shaking in your boots, boy. You got a big game. You got a game on your hands, boy. You got a game on your hands. He's coming for you.
Let's wake up to the let's just wake up to the reality. Everton have had a good start to the season. Nothing to deny, but what they will always be is a mediocre club who play football at a mediocre level and play mediocre football. That is the bottom line, because we're gonna have
Villa then.
We're gonna have Sadio Mane back in our lineup. He's back in training today. We're gonna have Thiago back in the lineup, and I think after that 7-2 defeat, we'll see a new Liverpool who are going to come back with a vengeance, and will show everyone exactly why they were Premier League champions last season, exactly why they've had the highest points tally over the next 2 seasons. And people like Greg can eventually let this Everton hype die down, because they've just got this little taste of what it's like to be a big club, and they've just got a bit overexcited. I'm talking as if Greg's an Everton fan, but he's got James Rodriguez plastered behind him, taking glory, while his club doing all right. But
don't move the goalpost. Don't think this is about me. This is about you and him. It's about you and him. We'll get back to me when Spurs play Liverpool. You got a game on your hands. You're coming up against the most creative club so far, statistically, in the Premier League. Dominic Calvert Lewandowski over there doing bits. Oh my God! Right, you got a game on your hands, bro. You got a game. You're porous this season. You're porous. I don't look at Liverpool. It doesn't scare me. You don't think Carlo Ancelotti is licking his lips at that game?
You just said, and I'll quote, Liverpool don't scare you. I can't wait till it's Liverpool Spurs, and then we sit here having this conversation again when it's actually your team, and it's going to cut you deep, because I'm going to remind you.
Harry Kane's ready. He's licking his lips.
You do the editing, Dan. Yeah, make sure you get this guy saying this rubbish in a GIF, because it's going to go up, because he's chatting rubbish. We know what's going to happen. Liverpool have taken the L. We've had our wake up call. You think for 1 minute we're going to come into a Merseyside derby and put in a performance like what we put in against Aston Villa? This is a big game for Liverpool.
Is Alisson back?
I'm not 100% sure if Alisson's back. I don't think so.
He's not.
That'll be problems for you if he's not.
No. I'm going to have to reject your proposal, Greg. Everton are a mediocre club, and just because they won 3 out of 3 games of the season after playing West Brom after playing West Brom, let them come up against one of the big boys, which is what they're going to come up against. Spurs are not a big boy. And we'll see come... What day is it on? Is it on Saturday?
Saturday, yeah, it's first game, midday.
Yeah, Saturday. Straight after that game, you'll be the first person I speak to, because we're going to be telling a very different story, because Everton will be taking their first L of the season.
What's the shirt sponsor of Everton? Is it Kazoo or something like that? What's it?
Kazoo, yeah, it's a
Kazoo.
They've got the top to Aston Villa as well, isn't
car.
it? Kazoo.
Isn't it the car company?
Yeah, I think you rent vans and stuff from them. I saw one the other day.
And I think that you buy a car and they come and deliver it to your door or something.
Oh, is that what they do? Yeah, okay. I saw like a big Luton box van type thing, and it had their branding on it. So yeah, that would make sense. But yeah, they've done pretty well out at the start of this season for exposure, having Aston Villa and Everton. I'm probably siding. I'm probably straight down the middle on both of your opinions here, because
Dan, don't sit on the fence.
I think that this is the biggest test Liverpool have had in 2 seasons, probably, coming off of that result and then facing their city rivals who are flying high and have looked really, really impressive so far. It's not, it's not this mediocre Everton of old. This is Carlo Ancelotti's new look, expensive Everton team with weapons all throughout that team. I mean, it's not just James.
Just so we get one thing straight, yeah? We're banging on about how great Everton are, but the only game this season where they haven't even... Liverpool are porous, apparently, but the only game where they haven't conceded a goal was against Tottenham. They've conceded a goal in every single game they've played since then. Yeah. 5-2, what was that? 5-2 against West Brom, who are relegation contenders. EFL Cup,
He's got
Fleetwood.
He's got it ready.
Because I'm fuming. Just conceded a goal with Crystal Palace, conceded a goal with West Ham, conceded 2 goals of Brighton.
We did it, James. We did it.
All bottom teams, all bottom half teams in reality, and we're now saying, oh, this new age Carlo Ancelotti team, they're getting made out to that they're like a new Bugatti Veyron or something. They're really not. They're just as bad average as they were last season, and they've just had a few flashy elements added. James Rodriguez, brilliant signing. They've got him from Real Madrid, and we should know by now that one player doesn't make all the difference for very long, because everyone thought Bruno Fernandes was going to make a massive difference to Man United. But look at the conversations we're having now about Manchester United. We're having the conversations that they're not doing so well. They just got beaten 6-1 by Tottenham Hotspur. One player can't carry a whole team. And I don't think that for
Could you say the same about Sadio Mane, though?
No, because
Dan's joining in.
Because Salah can do it.
I mean, is he more important to you than Virgil van Dijk now, for instance? Because Van Dijk played 90 minutes of that 7-2 loss. Can you still be the best player ever or the best defender ever in the Premier League and lose 7-2?
It doesn't make you the worst player in the Premier League. That's the first thing to say. Just because you lose 7-2 doesn't make you the worst player. No. Secondly, it's several components of that team that we were actually lacking in. Having Alisson, who's able to watch it from behind, commanded defence, very big loss. And obviously, like you said at the beginning of the show, where we always do have that mentality that we can keep going, we just attacked. And ultimately, when you're chasing a game, you're going to leave gaps. You're going to leave it open. And Aston Villa very effectively exploited that. You need to know that if Liverpool go ahead in the game against Everton first, good luck to whichever team are trying to catch them. Because we'll continue. Okay, what happened with Leeds?
Didn't you go ahead against them?
They still lost.
Conceded 3 goals.
They still lost, Greg.
Conceded 3 goals, bro. Porous is what I'm saying. I think, okay, on the real, I think that game, Liverpool-Everton, will be decided on the keepers. I think Adrian's weak and I think Pickford's weak. So I think that the goals will come and it'll be a tough game for both teams, but I think the errors and the goals will come from...
Well, I know which team I'd rather back. Would I rather back the team?
I wonder who that is.
No. Would I rather back the team that has Adrian in goal, a fairly weak keeper, with Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez in front of him, or will I back Pickford with like Michael Keane in front of him? I'm pretty sure the options are very, very, very clear to me. I'm not having that at all. Michael Keane is guarding the.
He's on to Michael Keane. Keeper. First episode back, he's on his Michael Keane.
Yeah.
Honestly. I know which team I'd rather back. I think half the country know which team they'd rather back. And I just think there's the people in this podcast that don't know which team that they want to back.
Well,
it's ridiculous.
Tom will be on the show next week, so you'll have another Liverpool fan on the show.
Wait, Dan, just to check, are people able to drop comments live in this? Yeah.
Yeah, they are. John,
I want to gauge some thoughts. I want everyone to drop live in the comments who they think is going to actually win this derby, and let's see what the predictions are favouring. Let's see if they're favouring the crackheads that we've got in this podcast, or if they're favouring the realists.
Got a lot of Evertons coming up in the chat.
we got Johnny Mills up the top feed.
All right, let's quickly then get our actual score predictions for this game, and then what we'll do is we'll do that really quick social media roundup that we did similar to last week, and we'll try and nail it on a minute. John's saying it's 2-2, actually sat on the fence on that one. I'll put my score in first. I'm going with I think it is going to be a high scoring game just based on the way these two teams have started the year. I do quite like that 2-2 pick, but I'm going to go 3-2, and I do think it will go to Liverpool. 3-2, but I think it's going to be a very close game. Someone's going to win it late on. As Levi
Greg,
frozen
I
again.
want to show me balls. I want your predictions. No, I'm here. I want Greg's prediction to show me his balls. I want you to go on a limb.
I'm saying 3-2 Everton. I think there'll be goals, but I think Everton will snatch that last goal.
I'm going to go bold with my prediction. It's going to be 4-2 Liverpool. And I know we'll probably concede a few goals, but we're definitely going to put a number on Everton, and Merseyside will be red.
Oof. We'll see. I cannot wait for that game. That might be the most that I've looked forward to a Premier League game for a long time, especially because we've had this whole 2 weeks to wait for it as well. So right, let's try and do this really quick roundup. I think the mistake we made last week when we were trying to do this in 60 seconds was getting a point from each person on each. So what I'm going to do this time is we're going to go project big picture, Levi's opinion. I need 5-10 seconds of opinion. Then next one, England games. Greg, you had a pretty good opinion on that. PPV Prem, I'll mention that one, and then we'll quickly throw in our predictions for that, and we'll try and get it as close to 60 seconds as we can, but sometimes miracles are not possible. So here we go. Actually, I've got to introduce it. So, right. Right. Welcome to BTF 52 social media roundup. Here are our points today. So first up, we got Project Big Picture. Levi, thoughts on this?
Another ridiculous proposal by, I don't know who's come up with this proposal, Liverpool, Manchester United. Just another way to monopolise the league and make the big teams dominate while the little teams suffer. Whoever came up with this, I don't know what I want to do to you, but this should be ripped up, and we should continue as normal.
All right, lovely. Is it a new era for England, Greg? Do you watch?
I don't care. I don't care because I don't even watch England play. If anyone remembers The Real Hustle, brilliant TV show, I watch that instead of watching England games, because if I'm going to watch a con artist, I like him to be good at his job. Win, lose or draw, I'm not impressed with England, and Gareth Southgate would be out of a job had this situation and the Euros happened.
Next up, we had pay-per-view Premier League. The decision to charge fans $14.95 to watch games like West Brom versus Burnley. We're dead against it. We think it's a bad move by the Premier League. There's enough money to go around for all the clubs without making fans in a time where, economically people are not that well off. Pay for football is verging on immoral. Our last talking point was Everton versus Liverpool. This is the big game coming up this Saturday, midday. We're just going to roll around with our predictions. First up, we have Greg's prediction.
For Everton, Liverpool?
For Everton, Liverpool, yeah.
3-2 to Everton.
Okay. Levi?
4-2 Liverpool.
4-2 Liverpool. I'm going with 3-2 to Liverpool, but I do think that it's going to be a game on a knife edge there. We also have predictions from John Aldinho saying 3-1 to Everton, and Johnny Mills is going with 2-2 in that game. And I can probably throw in a prediction from Tom that probably a 2-1 to Liverpool, although I think he's nervous. He's more nervous than you, Levi. Right,
John Aldinho in the comments. I want to make sure he's here. Make sure you're here next time. Make sure you're here for the next show.
Catch me outside. How about that? Right, that is the social media roundup for BTF 52. Make sure you hit subscribe on YouTube. Right, boys, I think that brings to a close the show. We've gone a couple of minutes over, but it's always good to have that extra bonus content. Next week, we're hoping to have a full house, maybe all 7 of us as there are now. So look forward to that next week, and we'll have a ton of football to talk about, and we'll have obviously that Everton Liverpool derby. That can be point number 1 for next week's show. So
I'll see you there.
Thanks for being on. Thanks for watching as ever, and catch you next week.